we're not exposed to these rites of passage, like hunting. When I say we, I mean a large majority of our population. And, you know, if you're living in the city, you're living in the concrete jungle, if you will, or where you don't have access, or we're now at a point where our quote unquote elders didn't have that experience. So they're not passing it on, you know, to the next generation. I just wonder, you know, like, what is your take on sort of where our current civilization is as it relates to kind of the affluence that we live within, that we see, and this kind of this concept of I need to be comfortable all the time. Like suffering is not okay. Being uncomfortable is not okay. I go so far, and people have heard me say this before, is that people are complacent and quite frankly, they're soft. You know, they just haven't experienced these challenges or these traumatic events in their life. And that I don't want to make a blanket statement and say people don't face trauma, but they're not caught. They don't have these very different experiences, to sort of set them up to have to struggle. Right. And have to kind of, again, come out the other end. I just kind of wonder what your take on that is and how maybe sacred hunting can help somebody through this experience that they may not have had before.
Yeah. Well, I do believe that one of the greatest challenges to society today, especially the society we find ourselves in, the Western world, is a lack of meaning, a lack of fulfillment that comes from, in the past, it came from surviving. It just very active surviving created that meaning and fulfillment. And we are, you know, the macro society as a whole is very much reflected by the micro. And so if you see individuals who are in such a place where they have so much abundance and plenty that they gorge themselves and they literally become less capable and less healthy and less effective because of too much excess.
Less resilient.
Right. Then you have an example of what society looks like extrapolated more broadly. You know, we've got more everything in the United States, and there's a good argument to be made that we're on average less healthy. Our mental health is significantly
impaired.
Impaired with anxiety, depression, suicide rates are very high. Community connection orientations is really, really challenging for a lot of people. And the way that I believe sacred hunting supports people is it introduces a way of being that's a very old way. And I don't think that we can go back to hunter-gatherer times. I don't think that that would be possible or valuable. But we, as a species and as individuals, are changed in our being through relating to things in a different way. Like, it's not just that there's a material difference between the wild meat that I eat, right? So this wild game, I have a stew that's cooking in my stove in the oven that is filled with a deer. It's a fallow deer. It's a fallow deer that was killed by a Montana hunter, and the hunter just wanted to take the trophy and go back to Montana, and the body was left there. And I said, wow, what a beautiful way I can honor this animal that would have otherwise just gone to waste. And I'll honor it by taking the remains, basically taking the
good stuff,
but stuff that this guy didn't want.
Somebody else's trash, right? Is your treasure.
Right. And I have such a connection to that meat that transcends just the material protein and vitamins and minerals and all that kind of stuff. All that's great. So yeah, it's probably healthier in certain ways if you like actually look at the meat, but the metaphysical difference that I have in that relationship, the pride in saying that this behavior is unacceptable to me and I'm not going to stand for it. The gratitude that I have that this just dropped into my lap, the like honor that I have to like provide all that. How does that change the way my body reacts to that thing and all things that are alive in my day-to-day basis? And that's really what sacred hunting is imploring people or inviting people into, because I went through a phase in my life where I was eating a paleo diet, for example.
Mm-hmm.
A paleo diet.
That's not uncommon. That's pretty common.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like our Paleolithic ancestors, but there's levels. That's a great first step. If you've been eating McDonald's and things like that, it's a great first step. And then there's another layer deeper, and there's another layer deeper.
Right.
And okay, now you can kill that animal yourself and you can have that relationship, that direct relationship. And that's really what I want to facilitate in a more like broad sense.
Right.
How do I bring these old ways of being? It's almost like an operating system that humans evolved with. How do I bring that operating system to our modern world so that we can make better decisions, more loving, compassionate decisions, more, realistic and empathetic decisions?